Guys, I have Elder Nathan Mayer here, and we are continuing to talk about community, the church value from our core values that launched in 2023. And our value for community says this: we want our church body to represent the same diversity in age, cultures, and perspectives as our city, but love each other even in our differences so genuinely that it is inexplicable apart from the power of Christ. Nathan, there was a little bit of conversation and dialogue around the wording of this, when we first talked about it, because there's this idea that, we don't want worldly perspectives. So we don't represent every perspective, right? And so in the longer form of this, I think we even talked about not ungodly perspectives. Right. But even inside the spectrum of faith, there are a lot of opinions and there's so much diversity in perspective. And, how do you feel about that? How have you witnessed that in the evangelical world?
I think as a microcosm of that, even in our elder room, we have a lot of diversity of opinions. I'm young, and many people in the elder room are older. I'm the youngest elder. Everyone else is older than me. And I came from a secular liberal background. And while I don't agree with most of those positions today, I think there are some things that I still have kind of like wacky liberal ideas around. And so there is a real sense in which, even in our elder room, there's healthy disagreement about how to best glorify God with the time we have here on earth. Healthy disagreement about how to best reach our community with the gospel. Right. Healthy disagreement about how to best steward and shepherd our congregation. And I think in the right context, that diversity of opinions actually makes us stronger, because the other elders reveal my blind spots and I reveal the other elders' blind spots. And you can apply that same perspective to our church at large, or to evangelicalism, or the church at large, where when we recognize our differences, recognize that most of those differences are not critical. They're not a compromise of the gospel, but a difference in interpretation or application of the scriptures. But we all love the scriptures. We all love the gospel, and we can find unity around the core things. The differences in perspective, in age, in cultures help us to be stronger together, and ultimately will prepare us to all stand around the throne of Jesus, worshiping in every tongue, tribe, and language the throne of the Lamb.
Well, there was, because we've been working through the last probably 3.5 to 4 years of a lot of political divisiveness in our country culturally, and that's impacted almost every church. I can't imagine a church where there hasn't been at least some impact to that. And I thought it was very interesting. We're in this era, and certainly it's not the only era, but we're in this era where, or coming out of this era where, to be a Christian, it was assumed you were a Republican. Yeah. In the Bible Belt of the world of America, and particularly the Bible Belt here of California, it's like they're almost synonymous in some places, in churches and circles. And so I think you had relayed a story or a statement from someone that's dear to you that was not a Republican, and they essentially said, "This is I finally actually feel safe." Yeah. Or something like that, right? Yeah. Not physically safe.
This person didn't feel like, they actually felt like their church community would be actively and openly hostile to them if they were to share their beliefs or views. And there is a sense in which, like, I disagree with this individual about some of their positions in serious ways, right? But being able to take those discussions out into the open instead of feeling like we're going to attack or bite at one another because of a position that we hold. Being able to bring those discussions out into the open is healthy, because that's what family does.
It is healthy. And it's also, I think, the only healthy way to find where maybe some of those perspectives are not correct or unbiblical. And if it's not a safe environment to talk, you can't even get to the parts that are unbiblical because it's not safe. So I just won't share. And, it's so interesting to me that we hold on to so many extra biblical cultural items in churches, and we make them really important. And I just think sometimes, I don't know if God is shaking his head or if he's laughing, but I wonder sometimes if he's like, oh, these guys again, okay. I am sold. I mean, just sold all the way down the river on this idea that if I have to put all of my investment into one method for growing you and growing the church, that it is in a very small, very intimate group of people. Maybe they don't start that way, but they get so close that they know everything that's going on in your life. And, hopefully as close to everything as possible, that if I asked you, could you share the worst thing that you've ever done or thought to this little group of people, you'd go, I already have.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. Like I already have. Like you don't have to ask that. Like we're that close. People think we're family. Now, in the context of our group, we call that like small groups, but but sometimes it's other these mentorship groups. It's supercharged. It's there are other aspects. But I'm sold that is the most effective model for your transformation as a believer in Jesus Christ. And knowing what I know about you and house churches, I think you are too.
Yes.
Tell me about community and how you do that in your life.
Yeah. So my wife and I lead 2 groups altogether, and we participate in another group. So we're a part of a group with a bunch of young couples that we really enjoy and are seeking to practically love in some dramatic ways. And I lead a men's group on Friday mornings, and my wife leads a mom's group on Tuesday mornings. And so in those communities, we've found, first of all, we're a really lonely culture, a very isolated culture. And so just the beauty of getting to be involved in one another's lives and just like make friends and have people around who care about me is so nice.
Yeah.
But more than that, when we regularly engage with these same people and are regularly honest with these same people about where we see God working in our life, what we're struggling with, where we're trying to grow, what we want people to hold us accountable to, man, it supercharges my personal walk, because having to take the thoughts that I have in my head and the desires I have in my heart and lay them out to somebody else and have them help me evaluate it and submit them to God and decide on the best way to apply them, super helpful, insanely useful for my personal growth, my walk with the Lord, and keeping me from all of the wonderful sounding but really stupid ideas that I have, keeping me from living those out. Like I regularly appreciate my Friday morning men's group for that purpose. But it also helps me to grow other people, because when we get a group of people together, I have gifts that were meant to build those other people up, and they have gifts that were meant to build me up.
Right.
And using those gifts is a part of how we grow in our faith, and having other people encourage us through their use of their gifts is part of how we grow in the faith. So if we're not getting together, if we're not practically working out how to love one another, then probably like 80% of the commands in the Bible are about how we relate to one another as the church. If we're not getting deep with one another and engaging with one another in meaningful ways, then we have no opportunity to live out those 80% commands and scriptures.
I agree. And it's one of my, so I have so much angst around this digital model of online church and stuff is, let me give you, I have benefited tremendously in the past couple of years from your friendship. So we spent a year in a mentorship group together, right? A lot of early mornings with a copious amount of coffee consumed over the Bible. And then even since then, other times where we got to sit together and just spend time together. And so like, first of all, you should know that's honorable, right? I've been greatly encouraged and impacted by your friendship.
As well. Yeah, I loved it.
That is honorable. That's worthy of honor. You deserve honor for that. And but I can't imagine not having that and not having been able to benefit from your friendship, because I thought I was participating with church online, and I missed all of that. And I'm like, no, guys, like it's the best part.
Yeah.
It's the best part.
I think we can all look at books we've read or courses we've taken and see how that has helped us to grow in the Lord. But you can also very clearly see that if you were a monk living in the wilderness and just reading a lot of books and maybe you have great internet access at your monastery or whatever, but you're not actually engaging with other people, you're never going to accomplish anything for the Lord, right? And so we were meant to live out this Christian life with other people in close context, in messy ways, and often in painful, uncomfortable relationships with people who are very different from us. And it's through those regular relationships, through those daily interactions, that God is going to soften me and shape me and sand off the rough edges so that I can be more like Jesus, who loved people who hated him and was patient with people who are really stupid, and mold me into his image.
I didn't think we were going to get to cyber monks in this session, but here we are.
Dude, I guarantee that there are some Christians who that is their
cyber monks.
Yeah, they're basically just still living out of their house, not engaging with other believers, but might know more than I do about the Bible, might know more than I do about the faith, but just aren't leveraging their opportunities to live that out.
I'm going to coin this phrase: stop making your home a cyber monastery.
There you go.
Going to use that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate your time.